Hello class, good afternoon. I'm excited to get started on one of many lectures that we'll have over this semester regarding the classic myths. And I'm pretty sure most of you are pretty excited to be taking this class too. I've heard from quite a few of you over email and in office hours about your interest in Greek mythology, in mythology in general, world mythology, and the ideas or concepts surrounding the mythology. So I know that quite a few of you are excited to start what I might call a little bit of a journey, right? So a journey of knowledge and understanding. I am here with my two dogs. They love to be in the office with me, but they'll be going in and out. So hopefully it won't be too distracting. That's Soapy down there. And Kafka. And Kafka, my other dog, is around. You'll probably see him this semester as well. So I'm just in my office. I know you guys are excited to get started. I'm excited to get started as well. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about myself before I get started on the actual lecture discussion that I'm going to have for you today. So my name's Marisol Baca. I've been teaching for about 17 years, and I've been teaching full-time at Fresno City College for about 8 years. This is my 8th year. And I love literature, especially poetry. I'm a poet. And I'm particularly interested in symbolism and all of the stories that have to do with myths and folklore and folk tales. All of those kinds of stories resonate with me, especially with regards to writing poetry. I think it's particularly interesting and has been an interest of mine my entire life. Obviously, most of us got our interest in Greek mythology probably at a young age, going to the library, maybe being online. For some of you that are younger, and getting kind of swept away in the stories that seemed giant, supernatural, exciting, oftentimes destiny-driven, and ancient and mysterious, sometimes dark and elusive, vague, strange. All of those things when I was younger and really looking into what I thought of as Greek mythology, a lot of those stories resonated with me because of those qualities. And I think a lot of them resonate with pretty much everybody. And I think one of the things that we are going to talk about over the semester are these kind of elusive qualities that make myths so intriguing. Their kind of limitless time that they've been around, right? So this ancient quality that we attribute to them because people have been telling the stories and then writing the stories for thousands and thousands of years, as well as the content of the stories, what they can give to us, what they can say about our world. A few of you even wrote about being interested in what it was like to be back in ancient Greece, for example. What were people doing? What were they interested in? What were their rituals? What were their daily practices? What did life look like for them? And how have the myths been a thread that's woven through all of those things? And they have. One of the things that we're going to talk about are definitions of myths, and I think it's important to point that out, is that it's really difficult to pin down a really good definition for a myth. And some classicists, humanities professors will give you one specific definition of a myth, but in this class, we're going to be rotating and thinking about the ways that not only myths change, also how they stay the same, but also how the definitions of myth changes. We could even just spend time talking about how myth changes and why it changes. And we're going to have quite a few opportunities to start to discuss that. I went to school. I was a graduate of Fresno City College, or a transfer from Fresno City College to Fresno State, where I got my undergraduate degree in English. And then as a poet and as a scholar, I went to New York to study at Cornell University. And while I was there, I really had this wonderful experience taking classics and comparative literature courses. And I became incredibly invested in Dante Alighieri and the Divine Comedy, or the Divina Commedia. And with it, the telling and the retelling and the retelling of classical Greek myths. So I have background studying the Divine Comedy in Italian and in English from Cornell University, and where I specifically looked at the ways in which those stories were retold, repurposed. And that's what Greek mythology does a lot of times. It gets, people grab it, right? Storytellers, academics, people in general, poets, they grab those stories and they use them sometimes for their own agenda, but also sometimes because it piques their interest and it piques others' interest. And the stories are timeless. So I have a history of that, looking into that and thinking about mythology through that, I would say, lens, looking at mythology through a lens of trying to understand it within this huge pantheon of mythology, world mythology. And we are going to focus more on Greek myths in this class, and Roman myths. And I'll talk a little bit about why. So that's a little bit about me, and that's where I wanted to get us started, thinking about myth. And so let's just jump in to the Greek myths, and I will be right back with part 2, and that'll get us into some of the definitions that we're going to be doing. So jump on to the next video from here.